One of the most common types of clients I work with are people who are skinny fat. And I believe this is because I was skinny fat when I first got started. So what I mean by skinny fat is having like smaller arms, small legs, but still having that fat around your midsection. It's kind of a subjective definition. Another definition of skinny fat is having a normal BMI, but having high body fat percentage. So that's what we're gonna be talking about in this video. I'm gonna give you a really detailed explanation of where you're at, kind of defining where you're at if you're skinny fat and how to get out of that. So let's dive right into it. First, let's talk about why you may be in the situation you're in. So if you're skinny fat, it's most likely due to a few different things. One, insufficient protein. All right, you're probably not getting enough protein in your diet, and that's causing you to have a low level of muscle mass. So we want to make sure that we increase protein. Now, another big reason is gonna be high glycemic foods. There's so many highly palatable, high glycemic foods in the American diet these days. So this is a huge contributor to, I feel like, the pandemic of being skinny fat that we have. Okay, so another thing is a sedentary lifestyle. This is a huge factor. If you're completely sedentary, which a lot of Americans are these days, this is gonna allow you to have a high body fat percentage and a low amount of muscle mass. All right, and the last thing I'm gonna talk about is low testosterone. All right, hormone levels are huge in your body composition. All right, I've been able to have a really good body composition at about getting myself to about 10% body fat, even though I've gotten my levels checked with my testosterone and they're on the lower end. So it's not the end all be all, it's a huge contributing factor. But even if you naturally have lower levels of testosterone, you can do a lot of things to, one, increase it, and two, control all the other factors to make sure that you are improving your body composition. Another key point that I want to bring up is that macronutrients are a huge factor. Like I mentioned with the glycemic index, having high glycemic foods, the protein. So the protein, carbs, and fat, your macronutrients, these have a huge factor in your overall body composition. There's a stigma, or just, a lot of people think that it's all about calories. Sure, calories is going to determine your weight loss or your weight gain. That's proven that calories are 100% going to determine that. But whether you have a high body fat percentage or a high muscle mass is going to be determined a lot by what macronutrients you're taking in. So macros are a huge factor. Don't just count calories. Make sure that you have the right amount of protein, carbs, and fat to make up an ideal body composition. All right, now you're like, well, what do I do? You've told me where I'm at. You've told me how I got here. So what do you actually do? Do I bulk? Do I cut? Do I do a recomposition? Well, let's define each of those and see what the best option is for you. So let's talk about bulking first. All right, and I don't mean going on a forever dream bulk where you're just eating whatever you want, putting on a ton of weight, right? I'm talking about a lean bulk. All right, so I wanted to define that a little bit closer. But this is better if you're somewhere between like the 10 to 15% body fat range. So you're more on the skinnier side of the skinny fat. This is gonna be more for you on if you decide to do a bulk. And one big pro on this one is you're gonna progress a lot quicker in the gym if you're going straight into it with a bulk. So if you're on the skinnier side of the skinny fat, then bulking is probably the option for you. Now for cutting, I'm talking about if you're over 15% body fat, you're most likely gonna be in a better spot to cut, to lose this skinny fat persona that you have. So if you're above 15%, so if you're a little bit more on the fat side of the skinny fat, then I would suggest cutting. Yeah, your progress in the actual gym is gonna be a little bit slower. Your lifts aren't gonna go up as fast, but you're gonna see a lot more progress physically a lot faster, because the more you shred down, that's actually the easiest way to start seeing the visual progress that you have. Like, so if you're a little bit on the fatter side of the skinnier fat, if you're above 15% body fat, I would suggest starting out with a cut. Now let's talk about recomposition. So this is the idea that you can lose fat and build muscle at the exact same time. This is possible, but it's very strategic, and I would say it's more for more beginner to intermediate lifters or people that just started working out maybe in the last 1 to 2 years. So if you're somewhere between that 15 to 20% body fat percentage range, and you're also pretty new to lifting, then I would say you're in a good spot to recomp, but just know that it takes a very strategic approach. You want to be in either a very slight surplus, a maintenance, or a very slight deficit, so that you can be in that zone where you can build muscle, so you're supporting that with enough fuel, but you're also able to lose body fat because you're either in a small maintenance, but you're getting enough activity to lose pure body fat and gain muscle at the same time, or you're in a small deficit to support that body fat loss, but still be giving yourself enough fuel to support the muscle mass. So it's a very strategic approach. I would say if you're an advanced lifter, you're better off choosing bulking or cutting. So someone like me, I go in periods where I'm bulking and then periods when I'm cutting. It's just a better approach. If I'm in a maintenance phase, yeah, I might be doing a little bit of both, but I usually am in more of a one or the other type of camp. But if you're pretty new to lifting and you're just getting into it, then recomposition is an option for you. Just know that it's very strategic. You'll probably need a very strategic plan coming into it, possibly by a coach. You can definitely build muscle and lose fat at the same time if you are pretty new to the gym and you're somewhere between that 15 to 20%. If you're above that, I would say go on a cut because you've got quite a bit of body fat to lose. You might as well just shed that off and you're gonna be better off in the long run by doing that. So to sum it all up, if you find yourself in this skinny fat place, then here are the main things that I think you should do. Number one, figure out what is your goal. Okay, so do you want to progress in the gym? Is that something that's important to you? Is it purely aesthetic based? So figure out what your specific goals are. That's gonna be a big part in choosing whether you're bulking, cutting, recomping. Figure out what your exact body fat percentage is, because like I said, that's gonna help you to determine what you decide to do, bulking, cutting, recomp. What's your experience level, right? If you're super advanced, if you've been doing this for a while and you're still skinny fat, first of all, you've been doing something wrong. So we might need to talk, but if you have been doing this for a while and you still feel like you're skinny fat, then you're better off choosing bulking or cutting rather than doing recomp at the same time. But if you're a brand new person or you just started lifting maybe in the last 1 to 2 years, then recomp is an option for you. So my recommendation for most people is more of a moderate cut if you're in the skinny fat position, or a more aggressive recomp, right? Usually, unless you're on like really the skinny end, and at that point you're not really skinny fat, you're just skinny, that's the only time I would say you should really go into a bulk. So that's my recommendation. That's what I usually recommend for most people that come to me and they're in that skinny fat position. If they think they're there, but they're actually just skinny, then we're gonna get them on a bulk so we can just build muscle. That's gonna give you a lot of benefit in the long run. So that's my recommendation. So do with it what you will. And here's what you can do from here. What you can do to take action now that you've figured out where you're at, you know what you wanna do, whether it's bulking, cutting, or recomping. Then you want to get on a good resistance training plan. You don't want to just cardio yourself away. Like I said, sedentary lifestyle is one of the main factors that's going to get you to a skinny fat position in your life. But you want to make sure that when you do add in activity, it's mostly resistance training, because that's going to help you build the muscle. That's something that you're going to need to do. You can't just lose pure fat and also lose muscle, because you're just not helping your case at that point, right? You want most of this to be around helping you build that muscle. It's gonna help build up that metabolism, help raise that testosterone that's most likely low if you're skinny fat, and it's gonna do a lot for you in the long run. So get a good resistance training program, get on the right meal plan that supports your goals, whether you're in that slight deficit, maintenance, or slight surplus, depending on what you're doing, bulking, cutting, or recomping. So get on the resistance training program, make sure you're doing progressive overload, and get on the right plan diet-wise that supports those goals. So if you wanna learn more, go ahead and comment transform right here, or follow me on Instagram and message me transform. I help people that are skinny fat all the time because, like I said, that's the position I was in the beginning. So I've gotten to the point where I'm at now, about 10% body fat, and I've come a long way. Not that I'm where I wanna be, but yeah, I'm not skinny fat anymore, okay? So reach out to me, guys, but other than that, even if you don't decide to work with me, use some of these tips, put it in your life right away, take action on this. On the Elevate Everyday podcast, it's all about listening and taking action. It's not just absorbing information, put this stuff into place in your life right away, okay? So subscribe. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. Let's get there, guys. Please help me get there. Let's get to 1K subscribers. Let's go. I appreciate you. But other than that, guys, I'll see you in the next video. And in the meantime, elevate every damn day. Peace.
Elevate. Only obligation is to tell it straight.